singing a lot? This guy is really loud.
Shut up. Take it slow.
Hey bro, we're recording. Can you take it loud a little bit? Can you be a little quieter, bro? We're recording a little bit. Just 5 minutes more. Yeah.
Sorry,
5 more minutes and you can sing loud.
So this is Sue Bolton for Immigrant Strong. Well, my background is I'm a socialist and I've been an activist around social justice and workers' rights issues for many, many years. Aboriginal rights, refugee rights, migrant rights, so against racism. And I'm also happen to be a moorland councillor. And I have been very concerned about the rise of the far right, and I felt there was a need to broaden out the anti-racism movement by bringing the campaign to the suburbs, but focusing mostly on the government's racism, because the far right wouldn't really have much oxygen if the Liberal Party and the Labor Party weren't giving them so much oxygen. Well, the mainstream parties would say they're not racist. They'd all say they're for multiculturalism and cultural diversity. But when you look at their policies, they're following racist policies, and then they try and create public opinion based on racism to support those policies. So that, for example, the attacks on refugees, I think the reason why both major parties are so committed to attacking refugees, and they won't let up on their attacks on refugees, is because multiculturalism is pretty well accepted in Australia. So therefore, if you're going to foment racism against someone, you have to try and work out some rationale that people would accept. And so what they decided to do is to focus on refugees who come by boat, or asylum seekers who come by boat, and creating the idea of Australia being invaded, a bit like during the Vietnam War, and the idea of the yellow peril coming from the north. So creating the idea about Australia being invaded by non-white people. And then later on, after September 11, starting to say, well, also they're Muslims as well. I mean, they're not all Muslims, some of them are and some of them aren't. But I think the reason why the attack on refugees is to create racism in Australia, create a new racist movement, respectable racism movement. But also, I think the reason they're doing this is because both major parties are implementing policies which are going to hurt ordinary people. Cutting public housing, cutting public services, cutting unemployment benefits, all of these things which will hurt people. And so if you don't want people to unite to fight for their rights, to stop these unjust economic policies, then the oldest trick in the book, going right back to Nazi periods, and all countries around the world have done it at various times, is to divide and rule, get us fighting each other. And one of the latest rumours that's going around, which is totally a total lie, spread on 3AW by the radio shock jocks, is that refugees get more than old age pensioners. Oh, that's a total lie. There's another one that's done the rounds, which is that refugees get given brand new cars by the government when they arrive here. And that has been said before about Vietnamese refugees and about Aboriginal people.
Where does
all
that
of it a total
come
lie.
from even, yeah?
I think those sort of things, which are such blatant lies, don't... most people would say, oh, that's just rubbish. But people who are just really, really suffering, who are not political activists, but just suffering people, can believe it, because they say, oh, that refugee family was housed and I'm homeless. And so that's where racist ideas can start to get some oxygen, when people are really hurting but they don't know what to do about it. Okay. Now, the Greens definitely have positions on those issues that are more progressive than Liberal and Labor. A day and a half before the rally, the mayor rang me and basically said she'd decided not to speak at the rally, that she thought it was wrong to hold the rally. I think the Greens decided to distance themselves from the rally because already by then the police had basically tried to frighten the council into putting pressure on us to cancel the rally. That you know, the best way of fighting racism is by ignoring it and just celebrating cultural diversity and multiculturalism. Justice before reconciliation, because how can you have reconciliation if you don't have justice? And I also think there are many people, Malcolm Turnbull is one, Bill Shorten is another, who would say they're for multiculturalism, they're for cultural harmony, but they're supporting policies and advocating and implementing policies which are racist towards Aboriginal people, towards Muslims, towards refugees. And so you actually have to call out racism. It's not enough just to celebrate cultural harmony. I mean, the Moreland Council says that Moreland is such a wonderful, multicultural, culturally harmonious place where racist things don't happen. Well, actually, that's not true. Yet maybe Moreland might be better than some other communities. It might be more culturally harmonious, but racism happens in our beautiful multicultural Moreland as well. So, you know, you actually have to make a stand, and we're also protesting against federal government's racist policies.
I was caught there for a little bit with an incident that does not usually happen in Coburg and the surrounding areas in Moreland generally, but also concerned that I was with my family. It could have been a worse sort of situation. No blame taken away from the people who were actually doing it, but but
valid,
I need to bring that up with you as well.
The far left and the far right are equally as bad as each other, and I think that's the line of the media.